Hello, everybody, and welcome to the May 2017 edition of Marshall Community Services News. My name is Doug Goodman, and for about the next 25 to 30 minutes, we're going to bring you up to date, as we do each and every month, with what's happening with Marshall Community Services. And first of all, I'm going to actually hold up this brochure, which hopefully our cameraman can take a quick shot of, but this is our very, very special edition of this show and our very first release of the Marshall Community Services Summer Brochure. We're here on campus at SMSU in the BA building, and of course this show is pre-recorded and will be viewed and can be viewed on Studio One TV, that's Charter Channel 180 or VAS 17, over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And again, our focus today is to bring you up to date on what's happening here in May with Marshall Community Services. And once again, as we do each and every month, it's my pleasure to always bring in a very special guest. And new to this show, but not new to you folks out in the community, because he's already been on Studio One TV a couple of times, is Scott VanDerMillen, our Marshall Community Services Director. And Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you having me.
It's always great to have you and have you involved with this show. Now, you started with this position back in August of 2016. That's about, what, 6, 7, 8 months. How's it been going?
It's been going great, Doug. A lot of positive things, getting acclimated, getting to know people, getting to know processes that the city utilizes within the community to make programming run efficiently. A lot of listening and learning. And so that's been all positive.
Well, that's great. And of course, those of you that maybe are aware of Marshall Community Service, we are a joint funded program between Marshall Public Schools and the City of Marshall. Our offices are located right downtown and in the heart of Marshall on Main Street, 344 West Main, at City Hall, second floor. Our office hours are open from 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and that phone number, 537-6767. And again, I already held up the brochure, but everything you want to know, want to do, want to try, get involved with is listed in this community services brochure, which everyone out there should have received this in their mailboxes, about 2.5 weeks ago, and it's just jam-packed full of stuff, fun stuff, interesting stuff, educational stuff for you to do this summer. So if you haven't received one of these, please get in touch with us, and we'll make sure you get one, because registration is in progress right now. So back to Scott, and Scott, I'm going to begin a little bit with, tell us, since you're new to our show, a little bit about yourself, how you came to be here in Marshall.
Sure. Well, Doug, I'm originally from Iowa, and went to college here back in the late 80s, early 90s, and actually worked for the city of Marshall, and worked for you and a gentleman by the name of Justin Ingalls in our youth summer programs, and worked for about 3 summers doing that. Did some softball officiating, baseball coaching, and then I coached some youth basketball in the summer while I was getting my undergraduate degree. So very familiar with the Marshall area. I then went on to spend about 25 years in public education as a teacher, coach, and administrator. And so ultimately made my way back to Marshall here, as you indicated, back in August. So I've kind of come full circle. And so it's been a unique path, and it's been a very educational path that has led me back here.
Well, and that's great. And 25 years ago, it really has been that long ago, since the late 80s and the early 90s. But I remember you as an SMSU student coming through the program, getting your degree, working hard, doing a great job. And I'm sure happy to have you back. And obviously things have changed a little bit since back in the early 90s, right? Yeah,
a lot of progress in Marshall. A lot of things that, the people, Doug, are still the same. They're still very friendly. Work well together and want what's best for the community. But obviously facilities and structures change, and programming changes, and programming needs change as well. So from that standpoint, it's been a good balance, and it's been fun to see and work with those people that have built the foundations from which we both work on now. So,
well, and you're right, because back in August you were hitting prime time, lots of stuff happening in Marshall with not only the development of the Merit Center, but you've been intrinsically involved with the opening of the Red Baron Arena and Expo, haven't you?
Absolutely.
Have you been surprised by any of that, or has it gone the process of opening our first full season of double ice is pretty much now, because we're here in May of 2017. But
Right.
How's that been going?
Well, I don't think there's been too many surprises, and I think that's a good thing. And maybe the reason for that, Doug, is again about those people that I spoke about that are already in place, that have been in the Marshall community for a number of years, that make the programming that we utilize at the Red Baron Arena run smoothly, like yourself, Cam Bailey, Preston Stensrud, Cody Mellentine, Darren Rahm over at the CVB that solicits and tries to secure events for that facility. And now that we're down to one sheet of ice again, as you were when you first opened, it's a matter of securing events, scheduling events in the expo area, and getting the community in the surrounding region familiar with those. But no real surprises. I would look at it from a standpoint in those 9 months as more opportunities for progress. Every time we do something in that arena, Doug, it's the first time, and we learn from it, and we get better from it, and we know how to go about it the second time through. So
well, and that's a great comment, because we are, as you said, now back to one sheet of ice. We will have a full sheet of ice all summer long here in 2017, but having only one sheet up and the other side, the actual expo side, really gives this community something that I don't think it's had in a while, and that's the opportunity to host major events. And there's already been some, correct?
That's correct. And not only from a community standpoint, Doug, but from a regional perspective. And you talk about the expo area in terms of the Prairie Home Hospice Charity Ball. Avera hosted a symposium shortly after that event. We've got some events coming up this summer that'll take place on the expo side. There's a concert coming up that Bill Cole on News and Views will talk with Rafton Rignall, kind of the organizer of that concert that'll be on May 19th. That'll be kind of coming on top of the last-minute decision to host Sounds of Summer in the arena when we first opened. So all of these things, again, Doug, are happening for the first time. We'll learn from those situations. We'll find out what our strengths are in terms of hosting those events. We'll find out what our weaknesses are in terms of improving those events, and then how to secure even more events that are similar in nature but not duplicating what we've done in the past. So it's an exciting time for Marshall to go through that for the first time, and then to be able to build on that and build that foundation. So.
Well, as you mentioned, Avera had a big event, Prairie Home Hospice. In fact, I know that this coming weekend, actually mark your calendars now, May 13th, this Saturday, there's a huge arts and crafts event. I know the community has done a wonderful job of putting together lots of vendors. So I believe from 9 to 3 this Saturday, May 13th, stop out here, out to the expo. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with all of the various exhibits in terms of the arts and crafts and all the vendors that will be available for you to get into the fling of spring. And of course, May, our parks now are pretty much open, greening up like crazy. In fact, there's a few dandelions I think coming through too. But the weather temperature today is 81 degrees. So it's here, it's time. If you are interested in, of course, utilizing any of our park facilities, give us a call. You can reserve shelters. We have a wonderful array of bike trails. In fact, I brought along today just to hold up. If you're interested, it's in pocket-sized form. And of course, then it folds out. But this is the just released Marshall Bike Trail map. I don't know if you can see that in the booth, but that is our newly released Marshall Bike Trail map. And of course, on the other side is the Camden Trail Bike map, which again, with completion this summer, this should be available for wonderful bike rides, 5Ks, 10Ks, a number of activities that can take place right here in our community and get you all the way down to Camden. And again, we've received lots of favorable comments. So stop by the office, picked up one of these. I know they're available at the Y, at the Law Enforcement Center, City Hall, of course, and wherever. I know we have a lot of these out in different locations, and if you need one, we'll make sure we get you one. So bike trails, I mentioned that there's one little piece still coming, right?
Yeah, there'll be about a 14-mile stretch, Doug, just under 14-mile completion stretch of that will complete the bike trail. And the catalog that you showed folks earlier, Doug, that everybody gets in their mail, that bicycle map is also in the centerfold of that brochure.
Oh, yeah.
So folks,
Right here.
if they're not able to stop up to the office, they'll find that inside of the summer programming brochure. So that's been a nice addition that Mary Tate in our office has put in so that people can access and meet the needs of a bicycle-friendly community that we aspire to be. So.
Sounds great. Well, this is really a great brochure. It's packed full of 68 pages. And of course, not only is the bike trail map in there, but everything you want to know about the Marshall Aquatic Center. Have you had a chance to get connected with all the folks out there and as they prepare?
Yes, absolutely. And Preston and his staff, he actually called me shortly before we were taping this show that they're doing some more jackhammering out there. Issues with some of the drainage pipes and those types of things as we secure everything and make sure that everything's up in running order before we fill the pool. And that'll open on June 3rd, as you well know, Doug. And so we're less than 4 weeks away from that. So the installation of some new diving boards and those types of things will be attractive to the pool consumer this summer. So it's an exciting time. People like it when the weather changes and the snow goes away. Hopefully it goes away earlier than May 1st, as it did this year. But yeah, the Aquatic Center is getting geared up, and Cam's hiring the staff and getting those folks in place and getting them trained. And so we've got a lot to look forward to out at our Aquatic Center this summer.
Yeah, you sure do, as families, as individuals, as older adults. And in fact, if you go to our brochure, our website, or just give us a call, you can find out how your family can get some very reasonable priced family passes for the summer, individual passes, a number of ways you can get out to the Aquatic Center, which is located at American Legion Field, which is over kind of on the west side of town by Westside Elementary. But also there, of course, is our baseball stadium, American Legion Field, shelter houses, something new out there, tennis courts.
Tennis courts, yes. Getting a new surface out there for those courts, and obviously weather has to allow us to be able to get the asphalt surface laid down and those types of things. But we anticipate that those could potentially open, Doug, weather permitting, shortly before the Aquatic Center opens. So right about the time, we're kind of trying to time everything with the release of the school year and students into the summer population. The completion of the tennis courts, the opening of the Aquatic Center, the completion of the fishing pier out at Independence Park. So I would say right between that Memorial Day weekend and the first full weekend in June, we'll have a lot of things available to the public in terms of outdoor usage. So.
Sounds great. And that's why you continue to watch Studio One programming right here, because we do have a number of updates. You know, Community Services has a Facebook page. Cam is into the Twitter scene a little bit, so you can kind of connect with him on that. But I'm sure he'll do a great job of keeping you up to date on what's happening at the Aquatic Center. And of course, Cam takes care of all the youth sports, getting them all ready to go. I think he has summer adult softball starting this evening. He's getting kids and team leagues lined up. And in fact, I think, and we'll go on to another facility that's right now being developed, is over on the east side of town, just east of the Red Baron Expo and Arena, is our new softball complex combination baseball facility. We're right now calling that Complex East. But what's happening out there?
Yeah, the Complex East, as you alluded to, Doug, or Amateur Sports Complex.
Yep.
Still has a number of things that need to be completed for that to be fully operational. Our target date back 6 months ago was June 1st. I think we're still pretty solid in terms of targeting that date. It certainly could potentially be later. Again, weather dictates a lot of that. If folks drive by now, they see all the immediate things that you need for a field. They see grass, they see ag line, they see scoreboards, they see fencing, and your automatic assumption is, well, let's play ball. But the reality is that there's a lot of things to be completed out there yet. There's pavers in terms of installing those and making sure that there's adequate seating for folks to sit on those fields. There's concrete yet to be poured, and once the concrete's poured in terms of the main the main driveway into the complex, or the main walkway, some additional sidewalks and those types of things. Once that concrete's poured, then there's about a 10 to 12 day window where no one can be on that surface. So it needs adequate drying time and those types of things. There's electrical in terms of making sure that the lighting works, that the scoreboards work, that there's water access for your restroom facilities and those types of things. So there's a number of things that need to be completed yet. And you mentioned Preston Stensrud, our park superintendent, earlier. Preston's in charge of making sure that those things happen and that those things get put into place. He'll actually be doing a show tomorrow, Doug, with Bill Cole on Marshall News and Views, jointly with Glenn Olson, in terms of answering some of those timeline questions that the folks in the community have had. But the reality is that we just completed the first full week of May. We probably have a legitimate 3 full weeks of work yet to be done out there. And again, the weather has to cooperate with that. So anytime you get 6 inches of snow, that eliminates your Monday morning of getting anything done, or you have an afternoon of rain where you're not being able to install a lot of things, it slows that progress down. And you have a holiday weekend coming up with Memorial Day and those types of things. But Preston and his staff, every day he gets more and more staff starting because those folks aren't year-round people. We only have about 3 in the parks that are year-round folks, and then we hire a number of seasonal people in that department, as you well know. So we started 4 more today, and that'll help. Bodies help get work done, but we're making a lot of progress out there.
Sounds good. I did mention just a little bit ago that our adult softball leagues are starting this evening, and they will be at the old softball complex, Complex West. They're going to start playing out there tonight, all 4 fields. Our Marshall Tigers have been using that softball complex for their fast pitch season, which towards the end of the month, not only will their postseason begin, but we will be hosting some Minnesota State High School League Section 3 AA and A tournaments out there, so that will be a busy site throughout the month of May. And then as these projects evolve and get completed at Complex East, the idea and the plan is to transition probably maybe first week of June, second week of June, but not only will our adult leagues move out there, but also Cam has some T-ball games scheduled out there, which those little tykes will really like that when they get out to those big fields and again to that wonderful facility, which we're going to be very proud of when it's all done.
The Wednesday night T-ball league, and not only the kids, but I think the parents are going to like that too, in terms of having that more in an enclosed area and being able to play on a new facility and those types of things, and just generate that excitement with our youth in terms of playing out there. That's going to be a tremendous asset. And ultimately, Doug, we'll eventually transition all of our youth programming up to age 13 to be able to play on those fields. So
sounds great. Some more wonderful amenities to our sports commission, our sports center, if you want to call it that, whether it be any sport that's out there. We pretty much have facilities available for our many youth sports associations and adult sports associations. All of them work very hard and collaborate with community services to get these facilities to the level that they are, and then we're able to host those tournaments and really make an economic impact. When the tournaments come to town, when the teams, the families, the players all come to town, that's a great way to promote Marshall, to market Marshall, and get people involved here through community services and all its great amenities. Scott, we've touched base on a lot of things, and of course, your 6 months, your 7 months have been very busy, but I know you've got some challenges ahead. One of those I know has been discussed with our Community Services Advisory Board, which is a great group of people that help us with our program and keep us focused. A wonderful bunch of people that, again, serve as our Marshall Community Services Advisory Board. Community needs assessment. I know you've been talking about this with our board. Can you give us any updates? I know the Y's doing one right now, but obviously every so often you got to redo a strategic plan, you got to continue to get feedback from the community. That's what a community needs assessment is all about, isn't it?
Well, I think, as you well know, Doug, in a growing community, your needs are always changing. And I think if your needs become stagnant, then you're not making progress as a community. And it's been a number of years since the Marshall community has done a community needs assessment. I believe the last one was in 2006. So we're well over 10 years since that last one has been completed and the data has been reviewed and those types of things. But It is a challenge, but again, as I spoke earlier, Doug, challenges are an opportunity to make progress. And that's what a community needs assessment should do for your community. You are correct. Tom Bolin over at the Y has facilitated, along with his board, a short community needs assessment to kind of identify what their needs are as a Y community. And our needs assessment is going to be more focused on what do the residents in Marshall have as changing needs, needs that we need to address in a better way. I had wrote down some notes because you had asked me, what were some of the things that we would be targeting in a community needs assessment. And I think there's three things that really jump to the forefront, Doug. I think it allows us as a community to understand the gaps or needs that exist within our community. We can increase the awareness of those needs, so you have ongoing discussions about those rather than just maybe you and I and Alex Peterson and just a small group talking about it. You involve a larger portion of that community. And then the last piece of that, Doug, is to provide an opportunity for residents to share how those needs impact their quality of life. And sometimes that gets overlooked in the day-to-day process of us just trying to get things done. But we really need to address how important it is for us to address folks' quality of life. Is the pool in good running condition, or are we always jackhammering every spring to get it up and running and presentable and acceptable for the public? Do we need to utilize and be open to more events in the Expo and ICE Arena? Think outside the box in terms of those types of things. What is our commitment to the community in terms of the growth of the sport of soccer? I'm using that as an example, but as our diversity and our dynamics change in our community, how are we addressing that? So that's kind of a long-winded version to touch on your question, but those are kind of some of the things that we need to look at before we deliver a community needs assessment.
Well, and as you said, a continuance of getting feedback from the community, whether it be on a particular class, a class evaluation, whether it be on a program, whether it be on an event. It's always good to receive those comments, and we do receive them, positive and negative, on what we could do better, what we could maybe change and modify. And of course, we work with our Community Services Advisory Board and all of the associations, all the wonderful people in our community, and we value that feedback. So when that does get released to the community, we encourage you obviously to take a look at it, to participate in the process, and of course we'll keep you updated on when that is going to actually be released to the community. So still down the road, but it's one of those projects that I know you're working very hard on as we roll into summer 2017.
Yeah, it'll keep us busy, that's for sure.
It sure will. So, I know our time is quickly going by. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left of our 30. And is there anything else, Scott, you'd like to share? I want to maybe mention a couple of other events that are coming here in May. In fact, I want to mention a big event on May 22nd. And I've got another flyer here that I can hold up. Each and every year, and hopefully you guys can zoom in on this a little bit and see this. This is our annual Marshall Bike Safety Event, and Chief Yant likes to call it a bicycle extravaganza, but it's scheduled for Monday, May 22nd, over at the YMCA from 4 to 7 p.m., and it's an opportunity for families, for individuals, for bicycle enthusiasts to come by, stop by. You'll get a free hot dog, something to drink, some free fruit. That's always a plus. And then register your bike with a universal database in case your bike is ever lost or stolen. It's also a way to get your bicycle inspected to make sure it has the reflectors and the brakes work, etc. And also there will be free prize drawings. There's a Marshall Aquatic Center pool pass that's up for grabs if your name is drawn. There's a number of other things. I think there's a bicycle in the mix. There's a partial membership to the YMCA, a number of different things. In fact, I think the local Boy Scouts are also putting together kind of a bicycling course where you and your family can go through all of the proper signals when you're out there on our bike trails or out there on our Marshall streets, in our bike lanes, on what you should and shouldn't do. And of course, pick up one of those bike maps. They'll also be available on that particular night, once again, over at the YMCA on Monday, May 22nd, 4 to 7. Once again, we hope that everybody comes out that night and enjoys this very special event. A couple other things coming up I want to mention. The Marshall Law Enforcement Center, Sheriff's Office, Police Department, Highway Patrol will be doing a very special night over at Independence Park on Saturday, May 20th. This is a national evening that's recognized across the country. I know in the fall, August, they do National Night Out, but this is the one called the Officer Down Night in Blue. And our local law enforcement people will be out there with a number of different exhibits. I believe there's a 5K or a 3K walk, something involved on that Saturday night. And of course, they're also hoping for great weather. But if you do have any questions on that, you can call us at 537-6767 or call the Marshall PD. There are some people over there that are taking care of this. That number, of course, general number, 537-7000. If you do have any questions on the Officer Down, how maybe you can get involved, how maybe you can contribute, or just come out. It's a free event, lots of fun stuff to do, and again, encouraging you and your family to participate in that particular event. A couple other things, of course, as we wind down, the last day of school is June 1st, which 17 and a half days left, maybe down to 17 now, because I know the kids are counting them down. I was out to the school this morning. Some of them are already talking about signing up for swimming lessons. Of course, in our brochure, once again, it's the Summer Talents Academy. A number of great classes there for kids that maybe aren't so much on the sports side of the ledger, but are more involved or want to learn more in the academic world with hands-on classes. These week-long Talents Academy classes range from ceramics, cooking, painting, drawing, chess, a number of different programs that are available in this community services brochure under the title of Talents Academy. So if you're interested, make sure you pick up one of these, check them all out. Of course, there's swimming lessons, a number of different things in here that take you all the way to about September 1st, 2017, and keeps you busy all the way up to when school starts the day after Labor Day. I know it's going to go fast, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
And so with that being said, again, stop by, pick up one of these. You can also go online, and I'll mention this. If you go on to your website or go on to the online to your computer and go to ci.marshall.mn.us, and we'll have Alex and Ryan behind the cameras put that across the bottom of the screen here so you can actually go to that website, watch the show, write it down real quick, and check it out. Everything is online here. In fact, the entire city's website is on here, on that website, and you can check out a lot of different things that are happening with the city of Marshall this summer, as whether it be road construction, whether it be different projects the city's working on, so that you can keep up to date as much as we can to keep you up to date as you continue on through the summer. And again, if you need one of these, our office is located downtown. You can call us. In fact, registration is ongoing by calling us at 507-537-6767. You can actually register online 24 hours a day by doing it electronically, or you can call us and register with your Visa, MasterCard, Discover card during our work hours, which is 8 to 4:30. You can register over the phone, which a lot of people take advantage of using those credit cards. So with that being said, again, either drop it in the mail or give us a call, stop by the office, or check us out online, and you can find out what's again going on with Marshall Community Services. One other way, as our time is down to the last 2 minutes, you can also call in, sign up for our monthly newsletter. These are a great addition to your technology aspects, with a number of monthly activities and events listed right here. Danielle Wilson, our office, does a great job of putting this together. If you want to get on this newsletter and get monthly updates, this is where this is what you'd get. We do some interviews with our board members, a lot of fun stuff to do in here. So check us out. Get involved by getting your name on the list for our monthly newsletters. Okay, our time has run down. We're with about a minute left. Our purple, I don't know if you can see this, our May open skate, still open skate going on. It's 81 degrees. Might be a good night to go skating, but stop by, pick up one of these. Couple other things, of course, ECFE, pit, hit and run competitions this Saturday, May 13th. Can't forget that. Basketball camps, any kind of camp you can think of, golf lessons. Everything is really kicking off here in May. And with that being said, I want to thank Scott VanDerMillen, our Marshall Community Services Director, for being a part of the show today. Any last words, Scott, for our viewers here on Marshall Community Services News?
Follow us on Facebook and Twitter on our City of Marshall sites.
Sounds great. And with that, I want to take this opportunity to thank you again for watching. On behalf of Scott VanDerMillen, my name is Doug Goodman, urging you to keep fit, mentally involved, and enjoy life by participating in your Marshall Community Services programs and activities. Thank you, and see you next month.